Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name's Jetpack, and this is going to be one of my first commentaries in Call of Duty in quite some time. If anyone's familiar with my name, it's because I did some Call of Duty videos back in 2011, Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty 4 stuff. But here we are on Modern Warfare Beta, and you can see I'm just tweaking around the settings right now. Don't worry, that'll get off the screen in just a second. I guess you can take a look at some of the settings for those of you who don't have the beta. But what I wanted to talk about in this commentary was sniping in Modern Warfare, the quickscoping, maybe the future of trick-shotting, things like that. How does it feel in this game? How does it play out? How effective is it? Things like that. This is map is Azure Cave, I believe you pronounce it. I like to take this middle position first. I'd like to note that instead of compiling some of my best clips, instead of using gameplay from some of my better games, I decided I'd use some of my earlier gameplay. This is when I was quite a lower level. I was more inexperienced with the game. You can see I'm just getting a feel for it, testing things out, doing jump shots, doing all that kind of stuff. And why I chose this gameplay instead of, some gameplay where I do, quite well, or where I get some, some clips, like some quad feeds or anything like that, or some nice no scopes, anything like that. It's because I wanted to well, there is a nice double kill in this gameplay, but the reason for that is because I'd like to show y'all what it's like learning this game, what it's like feeling it out, what it's going to be like here at the beginning for some of you who can't play the beta and are going to get it later in October, what you should expect hopping into it. You'll see that the new ADS looks really nice. Honestly, I'm a fan of it. It feels good, but I have to admit, the ADS time is really sluggish. It's especially coming out of that new double sprint feature. Your ADS is going to be terrible. But later in this video, I'm going to give some tips and tricks about how I feel about aggressive playing, sniping in this game in general. But you'll see that one of the power positions on this map, I believe, is this building right here that I'm walking into right now. That's definitely one of the stronger positions on this map, it feels like. So far, I don't really enjoy most of the maps in the beta. I really hate Gunrunner. I think Hackney, whatever it's called, Hackney something, is probably one of my more enjoyed maps. I've had the most fun on that map, and this map is decent, I would say. You can see right now so far in the gameplay, I'm really struggling. It's me just trying to get a feel for where do I want to be on, because this is before I really understood the maps. I've played all day yesterday and all day now Friday, so far getting experience for the game. This is one of my, oh boy, probably one of my first 10 games, somewhere in there. I'm not sure, honestly, could have been more than that, but this is probably one of my first 10 games sniping, definitely. I was using the assault rifle more at first. So some tips, honestly, I have for the future of quickscoping and maybe even trick-shotting in this game, to get on topic, is that I think my advice for sniping in this game, here's some, my tips would be, find a good mid to high sensitivity that you're comfortable with, something a little higher than normal maybe than most games, but I think that goes more for controller players. I play on PC, and I personally prefer the lower sensitivity. But I think for this game, maybe bumping the sensitivity up a little higher than normal on other games might be beneficial. A mistake I make early on in this game is you don't really want to super sprint around into every shot as possible. The ADS time when you're super sprinting or double sprinting, whatever you really want to call it, is abysmal. It's really bad. You come out of the ADS time you come into the ADS really slowly. You kind of want to be prepared for corners and where you think people are going to be. You got to have to learn these maps for the aggressive sniper play to get some clips and stuff like that. It's definitely more difficult than normal. At least in my experience so far. I think so far, getting more into the game, I'm feeling more comfortable, but this is just really one of my biggest things about this game, and one of the things I want to talk about is that aggressive players just seem to get extremely punished in this game. This game seems to really punish aggressive play, especially with the mini-map not showing the where people are shooting from. The mini-map is really not too strong in this game. Obviously, there's UAVs and personal radar, but there's the ghost perk, I believe, is pretty strong, and so compared to at least the other perks right now, I don't feel like most of the perks in this game are very strong. Most of the perks seem to be kind of weak. at least coming from the standpoint of like other Call of Duties having extremely strong, well, albeit broken setups with their perks. For example, Modern Warfare 2 having one-man army, danger close, noob tubes, things like that. It doesn't look like there's going to be anything crazy like that. Definitely nothing like that. But at the moment, it seems like snipers are definitely getting punished, and then I wouldn't even just say snipers, I'd say aggressive players in general. So that's something you're going to have to play around, maybe learn how to be aggressive in this game, or maybe compensate and not be as aggressive. But getting on the subject of aggressive sniping, another tip I would give is you need to learn your movement, both yours and how enemies generally react to spotting you. What I mean by that is when you turn the corner, when you're ready to ADS, when you're ready to take that shot, when you're going around the corner thinking an enemy is going to come around it, how do they react to you? Like a good example would be like right here. How did that guy react when he saw me the moment he turned that corner? And you have to compensate for that when you take your shots, and you have to compensate for that when you have to keep in mind where you think the enemies are going to come from. Like, I should have taken that shot right there, for example. I should have predicted his movement of going left into the cave, but I was still learning the maps at this point. So these are things that everyone can be learning and improving on. You can see, though, through the gameplay that quickscoping and aggressive sniper play is definitely possible. It's definitely something that even I have a lot of improvement left to do on, but I wouldn't say it's strong. And if you're going to compare this to other Call of Duties, it's probably the weakest it's ever been in my experience. I've played since Call of Duty 4, so I can't speak for Call of Duty 1 through 3, but in my experience, of all the Call of Duties I've played, this one definitely feels the weakest for sniping and aggressive play in general. So when you combine them, the quickscoping kind of aggressive sniper play, it definitely feels like it's the weakest it's ever been in Call of Duty. Another thing, like I was saying at the beginning of this commentary with that house position, is a key to doing well with snipers in this game, or aggressive play, is you need to explore the maps, and you need to find the power positions that people tend to go. There's a few positions on every map that people are slowly really filtering themselves into having strong preference for. For example, on Hackney being that window that overlooks I believe the A or the C flag. There's the in domination, of course. Me teabagging, me getting away from that cruise missile, it just being a little toxic, of course. Like the power position here on Azure Cave, I believe it's pronounced again, that house in the middle is definitely a strong position. And right there to my right, where I'm standing, is another very strong position I've seen people take. But those would be some of my general tips in this game for what to expect. You can see that by my scoreboard, I'm struggling. It's not one of my best games, but I think this raw gameplay is definitely something everyone wants to see right now before they get into it, because it's really easy to just sit here and show you all my best clips, when I hit those jump shots like I'm taking right there, all the times like turn the corner and I hit all 3 shots, unlike when I miss that third guy. I'd rather show you all some of my mistakes and some of the things I did right and wrong, so you guys can also learn with me as we get into this new Call of Duty. And overall, for those wondering, this Call of Duty is probably one of my favorites so far. I'm really loving the direction it's taking. I'm having a great time with it. You can see I almost never called in my UAV, or literally never called my UAV. I'm having a great time with it. To anyone wondering if they should get it or not, I would strongly recommend it, or at least trying out the beta if you have a PS4. But this was Jetpack. I would love to see some of y'all comments on how you feel about sniping in this game. Peace.